Yeah, and I guess they'll have to be. And the point that Chris Minns has been trying to make is that this isn't a situation of his making. This is essentially a situation of the federal government's making with the stupidly high tobacco tax that is now in place. And it's $1.47 a cigarette or something stupid like that, right? And so it was fine to have compliance officers previously because they were able to deal with the problems that existed. Tax goes up, problem becomes much bigger. Now they have to get the coppers in. But the coppers would much prefer to be investigating domestic violence and murder and other much more serious crimes than someone flogging a packet of cigarettes for $10. But what's Minns supposed to do about it? He's not getting any support from the feds.
Well, this is a complete failure in public policy from the Albanese government. This problem has spiralled out of control under the last few years, under Mark Butler as Health Minister. Jim Chalmers now has a tax which was worth $16 billion in 2019-2020. And look, even if you don't smoke, you've never had a cigarette, you're saying, oh, look, if people want to smoke, stuff it, I don't care. You should care about the tax. Jim Chalmers at the moment is having a look around the cup tray in the car trying to find $1. This is $9 or at least $8 billion a year we're missing out on because people aren't buying legal cigarettes. Now, if the number of people smoking had fallen off a cliff, you'd say, well, we've won the war against big tobacco. But that's not the case. These tobacconists are the only business that are doing well in town. They're popping up on every street corner. They're selling $10 smokes compared to $50 or $60 legal cigarettes. So no wonder people are picking the cheaper option. So you'd have to lower the excise dramatically to even get that price under control. But it has to start at the border. And the government, for everything Mark Butler said about we've spent more money on compliance, it's garbage when you actually break it down. What the states get individually to help them in this war is very little. Most of it goes to the bureaucracy. So it must start in Canberra.
Just very quickly, we've only got a minute, but I read a report the other day that, in fact, people who smoke illicit cigarettes are more likely to smoke more cigarettes. I think it's 4 more a day is what the report says, because, of course, they're cheaper, so they sort of feel encouraged to do so. This would have to be one of the biggest failures of public health policy in a long time. You deal with people in and around this stuff every day. What's your feeling about why the federal government won't move?
I think they are convinced that if they can run big tobacco out of town, the big guys, then they will be a win and then they can deal with the rest of the market. So they've got 2 wars going on, one against the criminal syndicates, which they largely created or helped flourish because of the excise, and then you've got big tobacco, and they'd be happy for big tobacco to leave Australia and then deal with the rest. I mean, the problem is that just doesn't work, and so that report is right. The other issue entirely is vapes, which has hooked kids more than anyone else. And so you've got this whole generation of people that, you know, we've just stuffed this up so badly. And as I say, it is a complete failure of public policy. Mark Butler, Anthony Albanese, Jim Chalmers, you've got a lot to answer for on this.
Vape's another thing they refuse to regulate properly. You know, better the devil you know, I think. James, thank you so much for joining me.